Understanding the phrase, tied up in knots. Hello everyone, and welcome to our English language learning series. Today, we're going to explore the interesting phrase, tied up in knots. This phrase is a great example of idiomatic language in English, which can be both fascinating and a bit challenging to learn. So, let's untangle the meaning and usage of tied up in knots together. Tied up in knots is an idiom that describes a state of being very anxious, worried, or confused. Imagine a rope full of knots. It's tangled, difficult to use, and not straight or smooth. Similarly, when someone's thoughts or feelings are tied up in knots, they are not clear or calm. This phrase is often used to describe emotional or mental states, rather than physical situations. To better understand this phrase, let's look at some examples. 1. Before the job interview, I was all tied up in knots, worrying about how it would go. This means the person was very nervous and anxious about the interview. 2. Trying to understand the new tax laws had me tied up in knots. Here, it means that the tax laws were so confusing that they caused a lot of stress and anxiety. The phrase, tied up in knots, likely comes from the literal experience of dealing with knots. In the past, sailors and craftsmen who worked with ropes often faced the challenge of entangling knots. This physical struggle was then used metaphorically to describe emotional or mental struggles. Use it to describe feelings, not physical situations. It's best used in informal or conversational settings. Pair it with descriptions of scenarios causing stress, anxiety, or confusion. I hope this video helps you understand and use the phrase, tied up in knots, confidently in your conversations. Remember, learning idioms is a great way to add flavor to your English and better understand native speakers. Keep practicing, and don't get too tied up in knots over learning new phrases. Until next time, happy learning!